Hey everybody, this is Mr. Clapp explaining the block 1 of your classical astronomy engagement, and specifically the medicine wheel component. Medicine wheels are really useful tools, and we have one here at Reed High School. This one was developed by astronomy students last year, and we used a shadow stick to make this, much like you're expected to do at home. And you'll notice this wheel, much like the one I have at home, has all of the cardinal directions marked: east, south, west, north, and back to the east again. So the medicine wheel is a useful tool for plotting where the sun is going to rise on important days, talking about the motion of objects in our sky, and many native cultures used it for exactly that. However, the medicine wheel is also a useful tool to talk about our lives themselves, and many cultures attributed significance to the different cardinal directions as we move through our different parts of our life. Now, I mean, no offense if I get this wrong from what you've heard for your own culture and your own experience. This is what I heard when I was in Utah, and it's been useful for me this way. So one way to think of the wheel is sort of a path to enlightenment, or a path to understanding the world. The idea of the medicine wheel is that you can't walk to the center where enlightenment is found. If the center of the wheel is where you find enlightenment, the only way to get it is to spiral around by making many trips around the wheel. So you can't get there just by jumping right at it. You have to go through every experience and gain the knowledge that's necessary as you go through it. And every experience has an east, a south, a west, and a north to it. What I mean by that is every experience has a clear beginning, a south where you have the heyday of your experience, a west where you're confronted with challenge, and a north where you process your experiences before moving on to something else. You can think of it many different ways, but I'm going to try to explain the different directions to you as I understand them. The east is where any experience begins. It's where our life began as a baby. It's where the day begins with the sunrise, and it's where any experience begins with that sense of newness and trepidation and a little bit of fear. One of the best animal totems that's referenced in the east is a little jumping mouse. And if you read the story of Jumping Mouse, you can find it online. You can picture a little mouse that's super excited, running around. Everything's brand new, so it's exciting and it's interesting, but you can't see very far because the grass is tall and you're so small. But the east is a neat spot, and when you have a new experience, much like we're having a new experience in this brand new school year, everything can be a little overwhelming. It's complicated because you don't quite feel comfortable yet, but it also is exhilarating and exciting. From the east, we move to the south, and in the south, we find a very different experience. The south is where our experiences become comfortable. This represents childhood. The sun is always in the southern part of the sky, so it's a warm place for us. Imagine a little kid's outside playing in the south. This is such a good time for an experience. No longer are you stuck in the east where everything's new and overwhelming. This is when you know what's going on and you feel good. Hopefully in our class now, you're in the south. We just went through that complicated orientation engagement, and now you know what's going on. You know how to take attendance. You know the experience. You're experiencing the summertime of our experience. And from the south, we come to the west. The west is where we meet the challenge of our experience. It's represented by the season of fall, the sunset going down and light going to darkness. It's also represented by adolescence. This is the time when, you're not a little kid anymore. You're not a kid having fun who understands it. This is the challenging time of lives. And for many of you, this is where you are in your lives. You're juveniles, you're adolescents, and so you're dealing with the challenge of pending adulthood and so on. So it's a neat time. It's a challenging time, and it's certainly some time in your experiences that you have to get through to really get the true value of them. And then finally, we have the north. And the north is a time for processing, transcendence, and moving on from your experience. In the north, we find that we understand what's going on. Whatever conflict we had in the west, we defeated, we went through it, and now we're at a place of wisdom and power and understanding. In the north, the north is represented by winter. The sun is never in this area. Everything to the north is a little colder. I always think of the north as that cold blanket of snow that you're only going to get after a nice big snowstorm. It's calming, it's a place of understanding, and it's a place where you process your experience, think about the lessons you've learned before you move on to a new set of experiences. And then again, we come back to the east. And the east, I think one of the best examples of the east is a seed. And a seed is both the beginning and the end of a process. It's the beginning of a new life, but it's also the end of a reproductive cycle for a plant too. So one more time, the east is where everything begins. It's a place of newness and it's a place of challenge. You get to the south, this is where everything's pretty easy for us. We feel like we're in our heyday and really strong. The west is where we're confronted with the challenges of our experience and have to overcome them. And the north is where we transcend and start to process our experience before coming back to the east. Just to share a little bit about my own life, I think all of us struggle with different parts of the wheel. I know for me as a teacher, I really like being in the north. I like being in a place where I really have a lot of understanding. And I feel like I'm in a dominant spot where I can explain things to others from a place of knowledge. I'm also not too afraid of the West. The West for me is, I like a good challenge. I'm a coach. I like to see things when they're a little bit difficult. I sometimes have trouble being in that new open space of the East where I don't understand what's going on and I'm confronted with experiences that are brand new to me and I feel ignorant. That's hard for me. And sometimes I have a little bit of trouble letting go. And the South is tough for me too, to be playful like a kid anymore. Which is interesting because of course in my life, I'm certainly moving from that West into the North in terms of my own life path. But also in terms of my current experiences, there's a lot of East for me right now. This whole COVID experience is really new for me and I'm teaching in ways I never have. And so that's very unnerving and challenging, although I'm starting to get to the South with that. And the East is also where I am with my life. I just got married a year ago. I have a kid due in January. And so my experiences are really new and exciting and certainly challenging in and of themselves. So hopefully as part of this engagement, you can put together your own medicine wheel and talk a little about where you are in your life, how you see the medicine wheel as a potential guide for you. Good luck, enjoy the assignment, and I hope it works out for you.